Awesome. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're zooming in from. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds to let some more people filter in, but thanks so much for joining us today for a student panel here at Northwestern, and we'll get started shortly. All right, awesome. I think that more and more people can come in as they please. So to introduce sort of how the night's going to go today, I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of Northwestern just for say 10 to 15 minutes, just to kind of let you get to know the school a little bit more before we go to our student panel. And we have students today from a variety of our schools who are going to answer any and all questions you have about Northwestern, about the admissions process, just really any sort of questions you have about Northwestern. We're here to help you out. So I'm Patrick Hott. I am a current senior admissions counselor here at Northwestern from Mount Prospect, Illinois. I am a senior that's going to be graduating in just a few weeks. But besides being a senior admissions counselor, I'm also a member of Studio 22, which is a film board here on campus, and I've produced a couple of my films. But I'm going to have Tanya introduce herself and then popcorn round to everybody else.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. I'm from Vernon Hills, Illinois, and I'm in the Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences. I'm majoring in neuroscience and minoring in global health on the pre-med track, and I'm also doing a certificate of civic engagement in our School of Social Policy and Education. And outside of classes, I'm also the director of our TEDx Northwestern Club, which puts on a TED Talk conference every year. And Rana, if you want to go next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rana. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I am a second year Beanan School of Music, School of Communication dual degree. So I am pursuing a degree in vocal performance and opera, as well as a degree in communication studies. In my free time outside of the classroom, I'm a peer advisor, which means I help advise first year students coming into Northwestern during Wildcat Welcome, which is our orientation program, helping them get integrated into the Northwestern community. I will popcorn it over to Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. I'm a current third year, and I'm originally from Montgomery, New Jersey. And right now I'm studying biomedical engineering in our McCormick School of Engineering and Applied Science. And I'm also minoring in Spanish. And when I'm not in class or currently I'm doing an internship, then I am planning programming, excuse me, for Society of Women Engineers as our external vice president. And I'll pop it over to Ren.
Hey everyone, I'm Ren. I'm a third year in the School of Education and Social Policy. I'm studying economics and learning and organizational change. I'm originally from Winchester, Massachusetts, and when I'm not in class, I'm also on the Wildcat Welcome Board of Directors, which helps to welcome in our new students in the fall. And I'll pass it back to Patrick.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. I also forgot to mention I'm a film and economics student here. Totally forgot about my majors. My apologies. So just to give a little bit of an overview of Northwestern, we're going to start off with our location. So we are in Evanston, Illinois, which is right above Rogers Park, sort of the border of Chicago, and only about 12 miles away from the loop of Chicago. So the location is quite spectacular. We are on Lake Michigan. It is a beautiful college town. It's quaint, but also, sort of buzzing with people. It's a fantastic location. The campus is beautiful. I had a chance to visit before I even applied, and that's why I fell in love with the school. But even talking about Chicago, which is one of the major cities here in the United States, just an incredible place for food, other opportunities like going to concerts, baseball games, basketball games, really whatever you're looking for. If you just kind of want to escape, the college campus for a little bit, you have the CTA, things to take you down into the city. It's an incredible place to be. And the neighborhoods here are spectacular as well. You have places like Chinatown, the Ukrainian Village, or the Loop if you're interested in kind of more of a city center. But besides that, if you're also looking for something more professional, having Chicago just a few miles away from you gives you so many opportunities for internships and professional experiences that you really wouldn't find anywhere else in the country. And I know so many of my friends and myself who have been able to do some internships during the school year and in the summer that have helped us out getting, jobs post-graduation. But then, kind of going into the academics, we have 6 undergraduate schools here at Northwestern, starting off with Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences. It is our largest. school with over 1,000 students per grade, I want to say, which is pretty crazy. And it includes professors who are well known, sort of just in all social sciences, other sciences, humanities. And if you are within that school, you're going to be taking distribution areas that are really just going to give you a liberal arts education that you're looking for. So I had chances to take, classes in chemistry, but then philosophy, and really sort of other areas that I might have not thought about before coming here to college. Then jumping over to the School of Communication, which I'm in, this is mainly where we have theater majors, film majors, radio and TV majors, and then communication disorders or communication majors themselves. Really kind of anything that you're looking for that's artistic or to do with communications, this is a school for you. We have professors who are well-known screenwriters, producers, playwrights. It's a fantastic school, and it's taking classes in that school is what made me fall in love with film and want to pursue it after college. And kind of going into a little bit more of an artistic thing, we have Beanin School of Music, which is a conservatory style school with access to a liberal arts education. And in order to get into Beanin, there is an audition. But you're able to either play an instrument, if you like to conduct, really anything that you're looking for music related. It's a phenomenal conservatory style school. McCormick School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. This is our whole brain engineering school, which really kind of just it's a school that focuses on really creating engineers that are able to apply what they learn, say, within mathematics and other sort of science-y classes, and take them into the real world and try to solve issues there. And then we go into Medill School of Journalism, Media, and Integrated Marketing Communications. And this really just has one major, which is journalism, but is an incredibly well-known program here in the United States. And journalism majors are actually able to do a JR, which is an internship for 1 quarter here throughout their 4 years. And I've had friends who've gone to New York, San Francisco, and gone to places like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, just to really name a few. And then finishing it off, we have the School of Education and Social Policy, or CESP. And this is a school that's focused on education, social policy, really people who are trying to make a change, say, within government, nonprofits, or really trying to go into business. I have a few friends who are also doing learning and organizational change and trying to go into consulting afterwards. So really anything you're looking for, CESP is a fantastic school to be a part of. But just because you're, say, within one school, say within School of Comm or within Weinberg, that doesn't mean that you're limited to just taking courses within that school. So when I was changing majors and really trying to figure out what I was looking for, I was able to take classes within School of Communication, within Weinberg, within McCormick, to see what classes really fit my interest best and what I wanted to major in. And with over 70% of our students choosing to study another discipline, it's really not weird to double major, to do a major with a minor, to do a major with a certificate. People here are really interested in a variety of things. And I think the quarter system and just the structure of Northwestern is what allows for students to do that. And so going into the quarter system, you have 12 10-week quarters throughout your 4 years here. And so there's going to be 3 quarters typically where students take classes. You have fall, winter, and spring. And the way the academic year goes is that you would start school somewhere around September-ish, and then you would have your first break in December, then start up again at the beginning of January, a little bit of a break towards the end of March, and then from the beginning of April into about middle of June, you would have your final quarter. But you are still able to take classes within that summer quarter if you would like to. But specifically during that summer quarter, a lot of people choose to do internships, maybe study abroad. Studying abroad is also very common during the school year. And really this quarter system, I think the most appealing part of it is that being able to take 48 courses, say compared to a 40 that you would do in a semester school, it gives you a lot of room to explore, maybe catch up. I know for me, it was a lifesaver when I was changing majors and trying to figure out what I wanted to study in college. So to be able to have some additional classes was great to just catch up with other students. But yeah, so then kind of going a little bit more into the admissions process. So we have a common and a coalition app that Northwestern accepts. The common app typically opens at the beginning of August, so you still have a few months to go, but both can be used to apply to really multiple universities. Just to go over how deadlines work. So with early decision, typically the deadline comes at the beginning of November and you would hear somewhere in December. And then the beginning of January is when you have regular decision deadline, then hearing somewhere, say mid to end of March. Yeah, and then the parts of the application, Northwestern does commend itself on doing a holistic review process. So looking at every aspect of the application. So whether that's transcripts, the academic rigor of your school, really looking at the resources of your high school as well. And then in terms of standardized testing, we are still opting for a test optional for next year. What this means is that we encourage you to submit your score if you feel like you did well on your standards and it reflects well on your academics as well. But if you feel like you didn't score as well as you wanted to, there really is no pressure to submit your score, and this is not going to hinder your application at all. And then going into a little bit of what's more specific to Northwestern. So you have a Why Northwestern statement. And this is your best opportunity to share your voice with admission staff, make your application more personal. And my recommendation is to try your hardest on this prompt. So whether that is looking up things at Northwestern, its professors, classes, extracurriculars that you want to be a part of, making sure that you've researched the university, and it's it's a demonstration of why you would want to apply here, but it's also going to probably educate you on what schools fit you best for what you want to do over your college career. And then going into the last part, which is the letters of recommendation. We accept 2 letters of recommendation, one from a guidance counselor and the other from a core subject teacher. And we just recommend that you provide the best perspective on who you are as a student, but also who you are as a person. And if you would like to submit more than one, you're welcome to. However, really quality over quantity in this case. Finally, going into financial aid. We understand that, with Northwestern, there's a big price tag, but we make sure to provide financial aid whenever we can. Northwestern is 100% need. It meets 100% of your need for students. So based on that EFC, or the estimated family contribution that's calculated through the FAFSA and the CSS profile, we are able to see how much would your family be able to contribute to paying for university. And if that is nothing, then we make sure to cover that for you. Or based on whatever that EFC says, we are going to cover whatever you need to attend the university here. Other than that, Northwestern is also a loan-free school. So whatever we do give you in financial aid, that means that you don't have to pay any of it back. And that all comes within grants and scholarships and no loans. We also are need blind. So when it comes to the application process, we are not taking your financial aid into account. And then if you are looking to see maybe what your estimated family contribution is, I recommend that you check out the net price calculator on Northwestern's website, or look it up online through FAFSA as well. But yeah, so that is really just a mini overview of Northwestern. I already have some incoming questions. So what is life like for students outside of academics? Tanya, did you want to grab this one?
Yeah, sure. So I would say life outside of academics, there's so many different clubs that you can get involved with. That's one thing that I've really enjoyed during my time here. I think we have about over 500 different student clubs, and I've tried to get involved in a lot of those. So that takes up a lot of my time out of academics. Also, just being so close to the city, it's easy to go down there and explore the city, go out to restaurants with friends, and kind of just have a nice little city day sometimes. So I would say outside of academics, there's a lot to do, both on campus and off campus, and it's really up to you to just take the opportunities that are available to you.
Awesome, thank you. So the next question we have is, what is the residential life like? Emily, did you want to grab this?
Yes, it's been a little bit since I've been in on-campus housing, but I can go through. Back when I was a freshman, I was in Allison, which is a residential hall, and basically there are like 3 types of residential housing on campus. So you'll have those residential halls, which are a lot more like the typical kind of like college style housing that you might expect, singles, doubles, triples, or quads. And you all like have like a communal bathroom usually. I was really lucky because Allison, the dining hall was in the basement. So I just roll out of bed and go get breakfast, which is great. And you also have like a faculty in residence who puts on great programming. She had us over for dinner a lot. Having home cooked dinner was like so nice, especially being away from home. A lot of fun events go on. One thing I really remember was like a really fun river cruise at the end of the year. That was so fun. And then a little bit of a smaller community down, let me backtrack a bit, but also like a lot of residence halls are in residential communities. So Allison was in a residential community with Shepherd and Shepherd Hall, and then 1838 Chicago. So I had access to those 2 other residential halls too, and was able to use like the gym in 1838 Chicago and like the fun egg chairs in Shepherd. So it's nice to be in those small communities too. And then going a little bit like more of a smaller community, you'll have those residential colleges. So these are going to be more specific. They usually have some kind of theme. For example, Slivka is our like residential college of engineering, I believe. And you don't have to be like an engineer to be in this college. It's just like you just have to be like interested in the theme, and you just write like a little prompt to apply. And they have some really fun like programming specifically for the theme. I know a lot of people in residential colleges tend to be like a lot closer and tight knit just because they're smaller and they have more targeted programming. So it really just depends on like how involved you want to be in your residential life. But yeah, living on campus was super fun, doing it for 2 years, and now I'm off campus and that's also great too, but I do miss it a bit.
Awesome, thank you. So our next question is, how was it doing a double major or dual degree in terms of time management? Ren, did you want to grab this one?
Yeah, I can definitely grab this one. So I started out in CESP in social policy, and then throughout my first year, I was kind of taking classes in a bunch of different areas. So I took some LOC classes, or learning and organizational change, ended up changing my major to LOC, and then also picked up an econ major my sophomore year. So I would say the process for me was more about taking a bunch of different classes and finding what I was most interested in. And then I think the quarter system really just helps with being able to fit everything in within your 4 years. So was taking the econ classes and kind of like the balance I got academically out of that. So with my other major, I have a lot of social science and humanities type work in my courses. So with the econ major, getting a little bit more of the quantitative piece and having a little bit more balance in my weekly workload was really appealing to me. And so, yeah, I'd say the process overall was super simple. I talked to my advisor. I was like, I think I want a double major now. And she gave me all the steps for how to apply for the paperwork and kind of go through that process. And I think once I actually like decided, it was like a 1 to 2 week turnaround process. So super achievable, super doable. And the academic advisors are great in helping you figure out that process.
Great, thank you. And also, everybody, feel free to keep sending in questions while we're answering these. We're more than happy to answer them. So next question I have is, have you done any internships? Emily, I know that you mentioned that you're actually in an internship right now. How's it going for you?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It actually ended up being like the office is like a 5-minute walk away, which is really great. But I'm working at like a small like medical devices usability testing company, and the way I got that was through Industry Day, which is one of our career fairs that's on campus. And it's like our largest like technical career fair. Some other things that were really helpful in terms of like acquiring that internship beyond just like the preparation that I got from like coursework was like we have an engineering career development office, which is specifically for like McCormick students. We also have like a Northwestern career advising. So both those offices were available for me to use. I did like a lot of prep interviews or like practice mock interviews through our engineering career development office, which were super helpful. And then I also have done like our Northwestern career advancement has a lot of events that go on that you can go to where they kind of go through like resume workshops and stuff like that. So that was all really helpful for getting that internship. And then in terms of once you actually have the internship, our engineering career development office makes it super easy to stay as a student. Technically, they just enroll you in like a 0 credit course. You don't have to worry about like not being a student for a semester, a quarter. Oh my gosh, we are quarter system. I have a lot of semester friends for a quarter and like figuring that all out. So it's just super easy to do internships here, even during the school year. So I understand why a lot of students do them.
Awesome, thank you. Next question that I have is, what experience have you had where you felt strong school spirit at Northwestern? Rana, did you want to take this one?
Oh my gosh, totally. I feel like generally, actually, I'm feeling a lot of school spirit on campus. Even with the remote learning environment of this past year, Northwestern students love Northwestern. And once you are integrated into campus fully, you just love it even more. But I would say actually for me, Wildcat Welcome, which is our orientation, was like a spirit-packed week. Northwestern really encourages a lot of that spirit within the student body. So we have something called March Through the Arch, where all of our first year students basically walk through the main arch, which is like in front of campus with your peer advisor group. And you have like a bunch of faculty, a bunch of parents, people on the sides cheering you on. And then we all go to Deering Meadow, which is this pretty field in front of Deering Library. Basically just with a huge welcome to Northwestern, where we just like learn about the school. Everyone's sort of just congratulated on being there. So that's a big part of it. And then also during that week, Northwestern hosts this like freshman first year tailgate, which everyone goes to, which is also really fun. And then you go to one of the football games. I would say football season is very much spirit packed. I honestly don't know much about football. Doesn't matter. Going to the games is a blast, especially with friends. Having all the gear. You have different student groups handing out different free merchandise at the games. So that's definitely a blast. But I would say spirit is definitely there throughout the year. We had virtual Dillo Day, which stands for Armadillo Day, which is like a big student-run music festival on campus this past weekend. That was also a blast. Everyone has a great time. So spirit, you never fall short of spirit at Northwestern.
Awesome, thank you. So I have a question about pre-med. So Tanya, I was going to pass this over to you. Could you speak to the academic path I could expect in the pre-med pursuit?
Yeah, of course. So there's pretty much 3 main years where you take your pre-med courses. First year starts out with general chemistry, and there's a couple different levels of general chemistry based on your placement test. And going into your second year, you take organic chemistry as well as the biology classes. And then your third year, you take physics classes. So a lot of science, but in addition to the science classes, there's a list on the health professions website actually that lays out exactly what classes are required for the pre-med track. But I would say honestly, while their classes are a lot of classes, they're difficult, but it's also easy to kind of balance that with doing things that you may want to explore other interests. That's why I'm minoring in global health. I'm also doing a certificate in another school. Like, even though it is a rigorous path, it's kind of worth it, and you're able to kind of explore other interests at the same time. So on top of those science classes, you may take sociology classes, or they will also require an English class for pre-med. But yeah, so that's the main kind of path for pre-med, but you can really change it to make it how you want it to explore all of your interests.
Awesome, thank you. So another question is, how is the collaborative environment at Northwestern? Are people supportive of each other? Ren, did you want to answer this one?
Yeah, I can definitely take this one. So I'd say the collaborative culture has been great, and it's one of my favorite things about Northwestern. So I've been in a lot of classes where it's project-based and you actually work with a team throughout the whole quarter to come up with your final project or deliverable. And the whole course is structured around working collaboratively. I would say even in classes where that's not the case, a lot of professors still encourage people to pair up for problem sets and kind of work through those together so you're not by yourself. And I've really just appreciated that culture of like everyone helping each other out and not being super cutthroat around classes in that sense, and kind of forming informal study groups and group chats to kind of help people get through the courses together. I'd say additionally that extends to extracurriculars and how people work together in their student organizations and kind of are able to meet people from all across campus and get to work with people that you might not have classes with as well.
Yeah, even jumping in after that, professionally, a lot of students here are going to be applying for similar things, right? Similar jobs, similar internships. And I've never sort of run into anybody trying to sabotage you when you're going for the same job. I've had friends who've told me about experiences where, they've applied for the same job as their other friends. They baked them a cake. Val, I think it was actually one of our senior counselors here. So from academics to extracurriculars and whatever post-grad things you're looking to do, I don't think you're ever going to find somebody who's going to try to stop you from doing what you're passionate about. Another question I have is, what do student/professor relationships look like at Northwestern? Rana, did you want to take this one as well?
Yes, of course. I would say generally it looks different based on what you're looking for within your academic experience, but Northwestern does have a lot of smaller classes with under 20 students, which means that if you're seeking an environment where you want to establish that closer bond with a professor, if it's a class that you're especially interested in, you can absolutely do that. All teachers have their own office hours, which I've actually utilized a lot this year, especially with them being remote. It's actually been quite easy to just pop in. So I've established some pretty close relationships with teachers this year specifically. Because of being in Benin, I actually have like an assigned professor who's my voice teacher, who I have for the entire 4 years, which means that I'm in a studio of like 15 students. And I get to know my teacher extraordinarily well. And she basically mentors me and guides me throughout my entire academic experience. So that's an experience that a lot of Benin students have specifically. But I would say in generally any of the schools, a lot of my friends who are not in Benin definitely have certain professors who taught courses that they're more interested in, and they, have just created those closer relationships because of things like office hours, just asking your teachers for help when you need it, forming those relationships. And a lot of teachers will, help students get research positions, and you can work in very close environments with your teachers for things like that. I would say generally professors here really want their students to learn and engage with the material. So if that's something you want to do, you absolutely can. And your professors will welcome that very openly.
Great, thank you. So the next question I have is, can you tell us about a favorite class and what did you enjoy about it? I was thinking that each of us could just give a favorite class we've taken here at Northwestern. So Tanya, did you want to start us off?
Yeah, so probably my favorite class was my first global health class that I took. It was called Introduction to International Public Health. And it was just really great to kind of learn about the different health issues across the world. And we talked a lot about healthcare disparities and the different factors that actually lead to these healthcare issues around the world and kind of the best way to approach solving them. And what I really liked about it is that it gave me a really great view on what's actually happening in the world right now. And I really like that compared to a lot of my high school classes. I thought that it was interesting to learn about something going on right around me and kind of learn what I can do or what I can learn to try to help these situations. And specifically regarding pre-med, I thought it was really great to kind of learn about the medical field from a different perspective and learn about ways that I can apply the knowledge I'm learning in my pre-med classes in actual tangible ways, because sometimes that's a little bit hard to see when you're taking a bunch of chemistry classes. But I love my professor, even virtually. She was very engaging, and I was able to go to her office hours, and we wrote some really cool papers, which, thinking about it, I wouldn't have thought I would have enjoyed writing essays, but it was actually pretty cool to kind of think through what we were learning and write it all out. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Emily, did you want to go next?
Yeah, last quarter I took a class, it's part of like our physiology sequence as like BME, biomedical engineers. It was like cardiovascular and respiratory physiology. And the professor for that class is Vadim Bachman, and he's like a leader in the field of like imaging research and like disease research and stuff. He's just like a master, and you're just like, wow, like I can't believe I'm being taught by this man. And really it was so fun in the class. Like the part I remember most was like we were doing like differential diagnoses, and it was just really fun to like apply the content we were learning to like real life applications. Personally, like I chose BME for like the more medical, like healthcare side of things, so that was a really fun course for me to take.
Great, thank you. Rana, did you want to go next?
I can jump in. My favorite class, I took Global History 2 last winter with Professor Daniel Immervar. Absolutely great class. I took it as a history distro, but it was focused on like the post-industrial era to the present, basically. And it was just really interesting to kind of get that global perspective. I think a lot of the classes I'd taken in the past in high school or in school before that can be kind of Western focused. So really taking that global view and getting the view from a bunch of different countries. And I'd also say like his lecture style was just so engaging and like interesting, and every class just felt so interesting, and there was something new to learn every time as we were going through the quarter.
Awesome. And then Rana, want to finish us off?
Yes, of course. So my favorite course that I've taken is actually one that I'm taking this quarter, which is called Political Communication. And that is part of my communication studies degree. Essentially, it's a course that talks about the messaging behind politics and the persuasive tools that are used to sort of boost the public personas of politicians, which is really fascinating to me because I feel like a lot of the times it's very easy to get caught up in the actual content and the specific policies and issues that politicians are talking about, but this really focuses on the delivery of the speech and the mechanisms used to persuade, which is very fascinating. Our teacher has a hybrid model of combining discussion as well as debate. So essentially what we do is we get lectured for a small portion of the class, but then we move into a discussion where different persuasive tools are sort of brought forward and we discuss what we think about them, how we've seen them play out in our everyday lives. And then students debate each other. So students are assigned a topic. You might not agree with what you're debating, but you have to debate it. And then the class votes on how they were persuaded, things of that nature. So that's been really interesting because I actually had to debate a position that I didn't believe in at all, but it was definitely good to learn how to sort of argue across the political spectrum and see beyond just the specific policies. So that's been really great.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So next question, Rana, I was going to actually pass it right back to you, is how is the art scene on campus? Are there opportunities for students to get involved in the arts? And I was wondering if you could talk about vocal performance, maybe have you performed for other students, how students can get involved in being in, even if they're maybe not in it, et cetera, that type of stuff.
Yes, 100%. So I would say that Northwestern has a pretty huge art scene outside of Beanon as well. Within Beanon, there are opportunities for students who maybe are non-majors to get involved. We have general music courses that I have friends who've taken those courses where, you know, you can basically just learn the basic mechanisms of music, things relating to that, if it's something you're interested in. But we also have a student orchestra that you can get involved in for non-majors as well. It doesn't have to be exclusively for majors. So if you play an instrument, but you know, you don't actually want to pursue it professionally or as a major, you can still keep that pursuit going. As a vocal performance major, I definitely have been in numerous performances within them, but also working like behind the scenes on the production end, which I believe is a reality for theater majors as well, because you are taught to work on the production end of things, but also how to perform, obviously. So I was in a main stage opera last year, but I'm also part of Opus, which is a group, stands for Opera Performances for University Singers. Basically, it's completely student run. Students direct and lead these operas, and that's just one example of like on-campus performances. There are a ton of theater groups as well. A cappella is a huge thing on campus. We have a ton of a cappella groups, and I'm not actually in one, but I've been to some of the shows. Those are fantastic, really entertaining. Students love to perform at Northwestern, so if you are more interested in just watching shows, there's always a show that you can go see outside of Beanon as well, because we have a lot of theater performances and student-run theater groups. So I would say there are tons of ways to get involved. I'm in choir as part of my major. It's a major requirement, but there actually are a ton of non-majors within my choir, which you have to audition to be able to take that as a course, but people do that. And it's actually nice because you can take it as a class. So you essentially just have to show up and do what you like to do, which is sing, and it's a graded class, which is great. So I'd say if it's something you want to get involved in, there are a ton of student groups that are less academically rigorous, but if you're also looking to sort of have your, like, if you're, you know, a musician yourself and just don't want to pursue it, there are definitely some more serious opportunities for that as well.
Thank you so much. Next question we have is, what research have you been able to do with the help of Northwestern? I was hoping for Ren, if you want to start us off, and then popcorn it over to Tanya, maybe some different, some variety of research that we've done on campus.
Yeah, definitely. So I was very new to research when I came to Northwestern. I actually got an email in one of my classes during fall quarter. And I just sent them my resume, had a little interview, and then I was a research assistant. So it's as easy as that. There's really so many opportunities to get involved with research. My particular focus was on nonprofits and social impact. And that actually translates to the internship I'm doing right now for my practicum as a research intern at the Urban Institute. So kind of continuing that research trajectory, even though I'm not an official research assistant anymore. That was still a great experience that kind of helped me build some skills that were helpful later on in my path. But yeah, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, also for me, coming into Northwestern, I had no research experience. So I actually started doing research my first quarter on campus. Pretty much the way I did it is I sent a bunch of emails to professors who I thought had interesting research and went in and talked to them after they responded. And then I got my internship. So I've been working in a neurology lab at the Feinberg School of Medicine since my first quarter on campus, doing research regarding Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So it's all been virtual since then, which has been kind of a little bit weird, but it's been very easy to get involved in research. So as I said, I just sent an email, and what's actually been very helpful is our Office of Undergraduate Research has so many different things that they can help you with. They help you write grant proposals, they help you with your resume, they help you with figuring out who to reach out to. And I applied for a grant last summer and this summer, and I've gotten 2 different grants to help support my research over the summer, which has been really great since a lot of the research is unpaid, but there's also the paid positions, which are possible. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved in research, and not just STEM research. So that's often something that students aren't aware of, but there's so many options to get involved in research, whether it has to do with humanities or STEM research. So really, the Office of Undergraduate Research helps you a lot.
Great, thank you so much. Next question is for Emily. So as an engineering major, is studying abroad a possibility?
Oh, I'm so glad that somebody asked this question, because personally, like, study abroad was so important to me coming into Northwestern, and so many engineers study abroad. I think it's like, or more than you would expect. Like, I think it's like 30 to 40% or something. But like, it's just really easy. Like, you think it might be difficult with like engineering requirements and stuff, but no, like, the study abroad office is there to help you plan, like your like department major advisor is there to help you plan as well. Like, I was going to study abroad twice, but unfortunately because of COVID, that was canceled. But yeah, I was going to do this past fall quarter in Spain for my Spanish minor, and then I'm still going abroad this coming winter quarter for my senior year to South Africa. So yeah, basically there's just so many resources. If you just want to know what programs Northwestern offers, if you just look up like Northwestern Global Learning Office, I believe, there's a great website where you can like look at all the programs that are available, which there are a lot. Basically, just filter out what you're interested in, what area you're interested in. You can schedule an appointment with one of the advisors from that office, and then from there they can talk with you about how to make that work with your schedule. But yeah, very easy, and I definitely encourage it if you're interested.
Great, thank you. So next question we have is, do you have any advice or tips for success at Northwestern? Rana, I was hoping you would answer this question.
100%, thank you. So yeah, I would say time management is a big one. Learn how to prioritize. And that was difficult for me coming in. I actually can't say I was the best at that in high school, but then when I got to Northwestern, I was a dual degree student, I had a full course load every single quarter, and I still do. It's very important to know like your deadlines, keep a calendar. I wasn't someone when I was younger who would like keep a planner of all the things that I have to do. That is one of the main things I do now. I have a planner with a checklist with all of my assignments when they're due. And, you know, when I cross something off, it's a really satisfying feeling. But I would say that's important. I would also say using your professors. Office hours is a great tool. Even if you don't think you have something that's worth meeting with a teacher for one-on-one, it probably will be, honestly. So do that. It's good to establish those relationships. And also to be relative, like, don't be too self-critical, learn not to be too hard on yourself, and also use your peers. I have a lot of like peer studying groups, student groups that have been really helpful. People that, you know, I don't know that well that I've actually become friends with just because like we've studied together for a class. So I would say that's something that actually like all my roommates do too. Everyone sort of has their own little study groups with people from different classes. And that's really helpful because you get to meet new people, but also like you're sort of utilizing everyone's strengths, within like a pretty friendly environment that doesn't have to be super high pressure. So I would say those have been the big ones for me.
Thank you. Next question I have is, do you have, oh, actually, I don't know. So a question that I have for all of you. How has your experience maybe been going to Chicago? Like, what's the transportation been like going there? Any like fun experience you've had in the city? Tanya, I was hoping that maybe you'd answer this question.
Yeah, so I actually go down to the city pretty often. My work, I volunteer and my internship is in the city. So I use our intercampus shuttle, which is a bus that goes straight from the Evanston campus to the downtown campus. And it takes about 40 minutes. It's free with your wild card, and you just hop on the bus and you get out in the middle of downtown, which is pretty awesome. It lets you get off right next to one of the big malls next to Michigan Avenue. So it's pretty good. And yeah, so you can take the bus, or there's the L, which you can take. And that takes a little bit longer, I think. I haven't actually tried it. I just take the intercampus shuttle. But yeah, you can pretty much get down there very easily, and it's really fun.
Thank you. A question that I have maybe relates more to NCA and like just the career office resources that you might have had for say internships or post-grad stuff. Emily, I was hoping that you would answer this one.
Yes. Basically, they just have so many people dedicated towards like your professional success. So they do a lot of programming in general, with like I mentioned before, like resume workshops, or like especially when career fairs are coming up, a lot of like prep workshops, casing workshops. If you're interested in like consulting, I know that's a really helpful resource. Um, as well as just like more relevant events. So they'll bring in like panelists, from like professionals in the work field, that provide a lot of insight. It really helps just to hear directly from people who are doing the work you're interested in, like to figure out if you're interested in it or not. And they're always available to like sign up for like mock interviews and stuff like that. Or like I said, like those technical mock interviews as well are very helpful. Another thing I remember was like honestly purchasing professional clothes can be kind of expensive sometimes, and they have this thing called Cat Closet where you can like take 3 items for free, that are like professional clothing, which is super helpful. I used that like my freshman year. But yeah, they do. I believe they do a career fair every quarter. For some reason, it always feels like there's a career fair going on. But yeah, there's so many companies there. It's held at our student center, so it's really easy access. And I think it's a 2-day thing. So that way they can really make sure like there's just so many companies that needs to be 2 days. But yeah, definitely no shortage of jobs if you're interested in them.
Great, thank you. Next question, we can do another popcorn round. If you could take one item or tradition with you when you leave, what would it be? So maybe what's your favorite tradition here at Northwestern that you've experienced in the 4 years? My bad, Ren, if you want to start off.
So I would say even coming back from this past weekend, Armadillo Day or Dillo Day, one of my favorites. I think even in the virtual environment. So being able to see great performers. We had Playboy Cardi this year. So having that music festival experience, and kind of having that fully student run event is a lot of fun every year to look forward to. And I'll pass it to Tanya.
I would probably say the same thing. Even virtually, Dillo Day was a lot of fun, and We bring a lot of cool artists. My favorite was actually Omar Apollo we had this year, and his performance was super fun to watch. And yeah, it's just, as Rana was talking about earlier, it's just a lot of school spirit, and that's something that makes you feel really connected to the campus. So I love that. Rana, do you want to go next?
Yes, definitely. So I actually love the tradition of painting the rock. If you don't know about the rock, it's essentially this, what used to be a fountain at Northwestern, sort of like the main academic quad on the south side of campus, that has now become a tradition of being painted over. So it actually looks like a huge rock now, even though it's literally just so much paint. And what students do is that you have to guard the rock for 24 hours. And you have to paint it in the middle of the night, and you can paint whatever you want on it. There are no rules. There's this like live stream that's constantly going on because there's a camera, so you can like see your friends if they're painting the rock. People literally have tents outside of it, will sleep overnight, just so they can paint the rock for whether it's like a club you're in, or if you're just representing like a sports team, or literally, I mean, it could be anything for your like friend's birthday. I think it's really fun to see what people paint on the rock. It changes all the time. Sometimes you have something there for like a couple weeks, but other times it's literally something might be there for a day, then someone will come back and paint it the next night. I think that's a really cool tradition. It's fun to watch, cool colors, funny to walk past your friends sleeping in a tent outside of a rock in the middle of campus. So I like that tradition a lot.
And just seconding everybody, like those are all definitely some of the best traditions we have. Personally, I really like the Chicago events that like Northwestern organizes. So like I think we have like NU Day at Wrigley, where it's either subsidized or free. Like it's either super cheap or free. But we all get to go to like a baseball game at Wrigley Field, watch the Chicago Cubs. I am not a baseball fan, but I still think it's super fun. And then there's also like NU Night at the Art Institute, I believe, and I am a big museum fan. So it's so much fun to like go to the Art Institute, which I think is one of the best museums, probably the best museum I've ever been to. And it's fun to be there at night too. So I really like that Northwestern organizes those events for us.
Awesome, thank you. I actually have another question for all of you again. If you could like pick like a favorite spot you have on campus, a hidden spot that you have on campus. Sorry if I just like put it on you right now if you have to think for a little bit, but feel free to, whoever has one, to go ahead and then popcorn over to anybody else.
I can go first. It was actually a spot I went to for the first time this past week, but the Shakespeare Garden is really beautiful. Pretty much all the flowers and plants in there are mentioned or written about in Shakespeare's books. And I went there this weekend to watch one of my friends do one of her classical guitar performances. And it was just so beautiful, and it's so peaceful and just a nice place to go and sit and just relax. That's my favorite spot on campus for sure. Emily, do you want to go?
Yeah, I personally go here like every single week just because I love the lake so much. And if I have to leave Chicago after graduation, I'm gonna miss it a lot. But I either go to like our North Beach, which is our actual like campus beach, like it's owned by Northwestern, free for students, only for students, or there's a beach on South Campus too, which is Evanston, but that's also like you can just walk on it. And yeah, I just like love to go there. It's really calming, peace of mind, love to dip my feet in the water. That's my favorite spot on campus. And then I will popcorn it over to Ren.
I would say similar lake vibes, really love the Lakeville. Just going for walks around the Lakeville, or even, I don't personally own a hammock, but when my friends have hammocks, hammocking on the Lakeville or just doing a picnic there. One of my favorite spots on campus. And I'll pass it to Rana.
So one of my favorite spots is I'm in Beanon basically most of my time, just because I love Beanon and it's fun. So after or between classes, I love to go to, we have a study lounge that sort of faces the lake. And I actually recently discovered that. So I'll go sit there after I've either practiced or had a lesson, and I'll do some studying. Has a great view of the lake, big open windows, and I can hear everyone in their practice rooms practicing whatever music, which I really like personally, because obviously I'm doing a lot of music a lot of the time. So it's actually kind of a good focus tool for me. Very quiet environment. So that's probably my favorite.
Great, thank you, everybody. So for our final question of the night, I was curious, why Northwestern? Has it changed? Has it stayed the same? Feel free to, kind of, why did you choose Northwestern as your university, as your top university? Ren, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was applying to Northwestern, I really appreciated the interdisciplinary nature, and all of the messaging I received was you can really explore whatever and do whatever you want, and kind of even being here, that's been really true for me, and being able to explore a lot of different interests, both academically and extracurricularly. I think ultimately, after almost 3 years here, the actual answer is like the people, obviously, and just like the community I've found here has been so great, and kind of all of the relationships and friends I've made along the way. So I don't know if I should popcorn, but I can popcorn to Tanya.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was coming in, I was really interested in kind of exploring a lot of different things, just as Ren said, and I found that that's super easy to do, and that's something that I love about Northwestern. And I also just love the positive community. There is always positivity going around, whether it's from professors or students. Everyone is there and willing to help and make sure everyone is succeeding, which I really love. Emily, do you want to go?
Yeah, thanks. I would say like when I was applying, which was a while ago, it was probably like the duality of Northwestern. I think that's actually like what I wrote about in my supplement, but basically like as I mean, we talk about it a lot, but it really is true. Like we've got that Evanston, nice small town vibe with a great food scene and just not too busy because personally, like I think I would get very distracted if I was directly in the city or on a city campus. But then Chicago, literally within like such close reach whenever I want to go. I know people who like make a point of going out every weekend to do something different. I really like that like quintessential college town and then big city vibe. And then like, um, a very academically rigorous school because personally I really do value my education a high deal. But along with that, like a lot of that school spirit and like a Big Ten school, all our games are free to go to, which apparently is not like that at other schools. So it's great. And along with that, like specifically for engineering, our McCormick school really emphasizes like that whole brain engineering that Patrick mentioned before, but that was important to me in that curriculum where they focus on the left brain and you really need to develop those analytical skills, that just scientific basis that's crucial, along with that right brain and the creativity aspect, design, the focus on design and engineering is such a big thing here, or entrepreneurship as well. There are all those opportunities. And then I think now it's definitely, once like as people have said, like the people for sure number one, but also like the flexibility of the quarter system. I really have to bump that because just like being in an engineering major and also having like a Spanish minor, and I was also potentially pre-med, so had those courses too. Still being able to plan to study abroad twice. It all was just, and still like have plenty of room for courses, random courses I want to take that I'm interested in. That's all owed to the quarter system. But yeah, very happy to be here. And I will popcorn lastly over to Rana.
So for me, I would say coming in, applying, I applied early decision. The big thing for me was that there was a dual degree program and that there was an entire school, a conservatory style school, within such an academically rigorous and larger school environment. That was very important to me because I knew I wanted to potentially pursue opera, but I also had a lot of other interests. And I knew I wouldn't want to just solely be an opera major. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do at the time, but it was important to me to have that flexibility, and to have a school environment that respected the arts as much as Northwestern does. So that was definitely what it was coming in. I would say that's still the case because now I am a dual degree and of course, like many places, it's rigorous. I take a lot of classes, but it's manageable and I'm doing it and it's fun. And I'm really glad that I'm doing it. So definitely still that. But on top of that, I would say just how supportive my faculty, like any faculty that I engage with, have been. That is definitely now my why Northwestern. I've had only excellent experiences with my teachers. I always feel supported. I've learned to reach out for whatever it is that I may need. And just the willingness, especially this past year, that the faculty has had to just like be there for students, just wanting to talk, learning about everyone's lives. That's been really important to me, especially within the smaller environment of being in. It's really important to establish those connections, and just feel like, you know, you have people that you know and understand what you're doing, and are genuinely rooting for you. So I would say at this point, it's definitely that is my highlight.
I'll wrap us up here. I have a why Northwestern too. So mine started off with actually in a really funny place. I was a biomedical engineering major as well on the pre-med track. And then within like 3 months, I was like, wow, I'm not meant for this. And then so, you know, I switched, spent a whole 2 quarters trying to figure out what to do, taking so many classes, really just lost as heck, I have to say. And I think that with like, I found RTVF and I found economics, and it's kind of bonkers how like you go from engineering to film and you're still at like the best school for it, which is like, I just don't think I would have found it anywhere else. So that's really kind of my why Northwestern used to be, you know, was a great place for me to start my career as a doctor. And now it's turned into, it's just really good at everything. And I'm really happy that I had the time to change it. So it's been a fantastic place. I also think I'd love to mention that like, you just have the funkiest conversations here with people. Like I loved where I grew up, I really did. But now it's like you're talking about something that's so weird and you can like get into like the deepest, most intellectual conversations about like a pretzel. Who knows? It's just the weirdest stuff. So that wraps up for today. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our audience for showing up. We really appreciate it that you're interested in Northwestern and wanting to hear students talk about their experiences here. If you want to learn more, we have panels and information sessions that might be specific to majors or different courses that you're looking for, extracurricular activities. Like we have panels about the arts, or we have panels about engineering specifically if you already kind of know what you want to major in. I also recommend to follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at Northwestern Admissions. I'm hopefully going to be posting a video soon. Gosh, I don't know how long it's been since I had to do that. And then other questions or things that you want to know about admissions that we might be able to answer specifically, please feel free to email us at ug-admissions@northwestern.edu. But thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day or evening. Goodbye, everybody.